Hannah's four hands shook as she stared at the holographic display floating above her workstation. The numbers glowed bright red, another failed analysis, another worthless day of work that nobody would ever read or care about. Her compound eyes reflected the harsh light of the research lab as she clicked through page after page of rejected reports around her. The other aliens working at Nexus Prime moved with purpose. The tall blue Altarians discussed their latest discoveries in excited clicks and whistles. The crystalline Zephyrite hummed as they processed data at lightning speed. Even the slug-like Morvins seemed more valued than she was. Their slow but steady work always accepted and praised. But Hannah was Cathari. Her insect-like appearance made others uncomfortable. Her people were known across the galaxy as cold machines, who only cared about numbers and logic. No emotions, no creativity, no real value beyond basic calculations. That was what everyone believed, and that was how everyone treated her. She pulled up her latest research project on the screen. For months, she had been studying strange patterns in space, tiny ripples that might warn of dangerous events near stars. The work excited her in ways she could not explain to others. Late at night, when the station was quiet, she would run, calculation after calculation, finding connections that made her heart race with discovery. Today, she had finally finished. Today, she had presented her findings to Director Voss, the station commander. She had practiced her presentation dozens of times, preparing for every possible question. She had been so hopeful, so sure that this time would be different.
Ow.
Practical application, Director Voss had said without even looking at her work. His tentacles waved dismissively as he turned back to his other tasks. Typical Cathari overthinking. Focus on your assigned duties instead of chasing impossible theories. The other department heads had nodded in agreement. Dr. Kellix from the Altarian Science Division had actually laughed. Perhaps stick to simple data entry, he had suggested with a cruel smile. Leave the real science to species with imagination. Ow. Hannah sat alone in the empty lab, her research file marked with a red rejection stamp. 3 years of work dismissed in 30 seconds. Her third major project killed before it could even begin. Around her, the walls seemed to close in, covered with awards and certificates earned by every species except hers. She stood up slowly, her chitinous legs clicking against the metal floor. The sound echoed in the empty room like a funeral march. Through the lab windows, she could see other aliens working late, their projects important enough to keep them busy past normal hours. None of them were KYTHARI. Hannah walked through the station corridors, past groups of aliens who stopped talking when she approached and resumed their conversations after she passed. In the dining hall, empty tables surrounded the one where she always sat alone. The automated food dispenser gave her the standard Cathari nutrition paste, flavorless gray substance that kept her alive but gave no joy. She ate quickly and left, unable to bear the sound of laughter from the other tables. In her small quarters, certificates from her home world hung on the walls, academic honors that meant nothing here. Her communication device blinked with unread messages from family, asking about her important work on the famous research station. She could not bear to tell them the truth. Sleep would not come. Hannah lay on her sleeping platform, staring at the ceiling and thinking about her life. On her home world, she had been special. Her analytical abilities were among the best of her generation. She had dreamed of making discoveries that would help her people, maybe even change how the galaxy saw the Cathari. Instead, I'd found only rejection and loneliness. Every day brought the same routine, assigned busy work that any computer could do better, ignored suggestions, and silent meals. She was 28 cycles old and felt like her life was already over. At the darkest hour of the station's night cycle, Hannah left her quarters and walked to the observation deck. The massive viewport showed the endless darkness of space, filled with distant stars that seemed as cold and uncaring as everything else in her life. She stood there for a long time, watching ships come and go, carrying important people to important places, where they would do important things. Her hands found the airlock control panel. The safety protocols would ask for confirmation several times, but she knew how to override them. Her technical skills were good for something, at least. Through the transparent aluminum, space waited silently. No more rejections. No more loneliness. No more pretending that tomorrow might be different. She began entering her override codes, each button press bringing her closer to the end. The stars watched without judgment as she prepared to join them in their eternal silence. At least in the void, no one would dismiss her as just another cold, calculating Cathari. At least there, she would finally find peace. The control panel beeped softly. Ready for her final comment, Hannah's finger hovered over the final control button when she heard footsteps behind her. Her forehands froze as someone sat down on the metal bench near the viewport. She did not turn around, hoping whoever it was would leave her alone. "Beautiful view," a voice said quietly. It was male, speaking in simple galactic standard with an accent she did not recognize. "I come here sometimes when I cannot sleep." Hannah kept staring at the control panel. "Go away," she said through a translator device. "I am busy." "I can see that." The voice was calm, not afraid or disgusted like most aliens sounded when they spoke to her. "I am June. I work in engineering. Are you okay?" She finally turned to look at him. He was human, one of the new species that had recently joined the galactic community. Humans were considered primitive by most aliens, barely advanced enough to travel between stars. This one looked young, with dark hair and kind eyes that watched her without judgment. "Am fine," Hannah lied. "Why do you care?" June shrugged. "You look like someone who needs a friend." "I know what that feels like." "Humans do not understand Cathari," she said, turning back to the controls. "We are different. We do not have friends," says who. June moved closer, but not to close. He sat on the floor near her, looking up at the stars. "Back on Earth, people used to think my family was different too. We came from Korea, and some people said we were too quiet, too focused on work. They said we did not show emotions the right way." Hannah's compound eyes studied him. "What did you do?" "I proved them wrong," he said simply. "But it took time. It took meeting people who saw me as June, not just as a Korean or an Asian or whatever label they wanted to use." "The galactic community sees Cathari as machines," Hannah said bitterly. "We are cold. We are logical. We have no imagination or creativity. That is what they believe." "Do you believe it?" Question surprised. "Her, what do you think you are? Just a cold machine. Because you do not seem cold to me, you seem hurt. Machines do not get hurt." Hannah felt something strange in her chest, a warmth she had not experienced in years. "You do not know me? Then tell me about yourself," June said. "What do you do on the station?" "Data analysis. Meaningless work that anyone could do." She paused. "I also do research, but nobody cares about that kind of research." Hannah hesitated. Nobody had ever asked about her work with genuine interest. "I study quantum patterns in space. I think I can predict when stars will have dangerous events. But my supervisor says it is impossible." June's eyes lit up. "That sounds amazing, like predicting earthquakes, but in space. Something like that." Hannah found herself explaining her theories, her voice growing stronger as she spoke. June listened carefully, asking questions that showed he was really paying attention. He did not understand all the science, but he understood her excitement about it. "Why do you think your supervisor rejected it?" he asked. "Because I am Cathari. Because we are not supposed to have new ideas, because—" She stopped, realizing she was about to cry. Cathari did not cry often. But when they did, it was with their whole body. "Because he is an idiot," June said firmly. "Your research sounds important. Really important. Nobody else thinks so." "I think so. And I bet if you explained it to the right people, they would think so too." He stood up and offered her his hand. "Come on, step away from that control panel. Let me show you something." Hannah stared at his outstretched hand. When was the last time someone had offered to help her? When was the last time someone had wanted to spend time with her? She had been so focused on ending her pain that she had forgotten what hope felt like. "Why are you helping me?" she asked. "Because everyone deserves a chance to be seen for who they really are," June said. "And because your work might save lives someday. The galaxy needs people like you, people like me, smart people, creative people, people who see patterns others." Missy smiled. "People who care enough about their work to to stay up all night perfecting it. Hannah looked at the control panel one more time. The override codes were still there, waiting for her final command. Then she looked at June's hand, still extended toward her. His fingers were warm and soft, so different from her own chitinous appendages. Slowly, she reached out and took his hand. The moment their skin touched, she felt something she had not felt in years: connection. Not just to another person, but to the possibility that tomorrow might be different than today. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you for staying," June replied. "Now, how about we go get some coffee and you can tell me more about these quantum patterns? I have some ideas about how we might test your theories." For the first time in months, Hannah smiled. 2 days later, Hannah found herself in a place she had never expected to be: Maintenance Bay 7. Deep in the engineering section of the station, the room smelled of metal and oil, filled with tools and spare parts that June used to keep the station running. Her research files were spread across his workbench, looking strange next to wrenches and circuit boards. "Me again," June said, pointing at her quantum wave calculations on his portable screen. "These patterns here, they repeat every few cycles." Hannah moved closer, her forehands dancing over the display as she explained. "Yes, see these peaks? They happen right before stellar disruption events. When a star becomes unstable, it sends out these tiny waves through space. Most equipment cannot detect them, but I found a way." June studied the numbers carefully. He did not understand all the advanced mathematics, but he could see the patterns she was talking about. "This is incredible, Hannah. You are predicting when stars are going to have problems." "Trying to," she said quietly. "But Director Voss called it worthless theory. He said I was wasting time on impossible ideas. Let me check something." Pulled up the station's sensor logs from the past year. His fingers moved quickly over the controls, searching through months of data. "Here, look at this reading from 3 months ago." The sensors picked up some strange energy fluctuations from the Kepler system. Hannah looked at the data, and her compound eyes grew wide. "Those fluctuations match my predicted signature exactly. But that means your theory works," June said excitedly. "The station's sensors actually detected what you predicted, but nobody knew what they were looking at." Hannah stared at the screen, hardly believing what she was seeing. Her research was not worthless theory. It was real science that could actually help people. "Why did nobody notice this before?" "'Cause they were not looking for it," June explained. "Your supervisor probably saw the sensor readings as background noise. He did not know what to look for." For the next few hours, they worked together, comparing Hannah's calculations with historical sensor data. Again and again, they found matches. Her quantum patterns appeared in the records right before dangerous stellar events, solar flares, coronal mass ejections, even the collapse of an unstable star in the outer rim. "Hannah, do you understand what this means?" June asked, his voice full of excitement. "Research could save entire solar systems. If we can predict when stars are going to have problems, we can warn colonies to evacuate or prepare." "But nobody will listen to me," Hannah said sadly. "I am just a Cathari data analyst. Director Voss will never approve a project like this."
June
smiled. "Then we will not ask for his approval. We will build our own detection system and prove it works. Once we have results, he will have to listen." "Build our own system? What equipment? Leave that to me." June gestured around the maintenance bay. "I fix things for a living. I know every spare part and unused component on this station. Give me your technical specifications, and I will build you a quantum detection array." Hannah felt that strange warmth in her chest again. Hope, mixed with something else she was not used to feeling. "Trust. You would do that for me?" "I would do that with you," June corrected. "This is partnership, remember? You provide the brilliant science, and I provide the engineering skills to make it real." Over the following weeks, their unlikely partnership grew stronger. Hannah would finish her assigned work during the day, then sneak down to Maintenance Bay 7 in the evenings. June had somehow acquired sensitive detection equipment that officially did not exist. Together, they modified sensors and calibrated instruments, turning Hannah's theoretical mathematics into practical technology. Try it now, June said, connecting the last power cable to their improvised detection array. If your calculations are right, we should be able to pick up quantum fluctuations from the Vega system. Hannah activated her scanning program and held her breath. Numbers began flowing across the screen. Energy readings, wave patterns, quantum signatures. It is working, she whispered. June, it is actually working. Of course it is working, he said with a grin. I never doubted your science for a second, but I doubted it, Hannah admitted. After so many rejections, I started to believe maybe they were right. Maybe I really was just making up impossible theories. The only impossible thing would be wasting talent like yours on data entry, June said firmly. You are a scientist, Hannah, a real scientist with real discoveries. Let anyone tell you otherwise. As they watched their detection array gather data from distant stars, Hannah realized something had changed inside her. The loneliness that had consumed her for years was gone, replaced by purpose and excitement. For the first time since arriving at the station, she felt like she belonged somewhere. Thank you, she said quietly, for believing in me when I could not believe in myself. Thank you for letting me help, June replied. This is the most important work I have ever done. Neither of them knew that their secret project would soon be put to the ultimate test, or that the galaxy was about to see exactly what a Cathari scientist and a human engineer could accomplish together. The alarm in Maintenance Bay 7 screamed. At 3 a.m, jolting Hannah from her calculations. Her 4 hands flew across the detection array's controls as data flooded the screens. The quantum signatures were unlike anything she had seen before, massive, chaotic, and heading straight for the Kepler mining colonies. June, she called into her communicator. Get down here now. We have a problem. Within minutes, June burst through the door, still pulling on his work shirt. What is it? Quantum anomaly, Hannah said, her voice tight with fear. Bigger than anything in my research. It will reach the Kepler system in 18 hours. June looked at the readings and felt his stomach drop. The Kepler colonies housed over 2 million people, miners, families, researchers working on the outer edge of civilized space. How bad will it be? Catastrophic. The anomaly will destabilize their sun. Solar flares, radiation storms, possible stellar collapse. Hannah's compound eyes reflected the red warning lights flashing on their equipment. Everyone in that system will die unless they evacuate immediately. Then we have to warn them, June said. Contact Director Voss. Show him the data. Hannah was already moving, copying their readings onto a portable drive. Together they ran through the empty corridors to the command center. Director Voss was not pleased to be woken up, his tentacles writhing with annoyance as they burst into his office. What is the meaning of this disruption? He demanded. Sir, we have detected a quantum anomaly approaching the Kepler system, Hannah said, trying to keep her voice steady. Our calculations show it will arrive in 17 hours and cause massive stellar disruption. Director Voss looked at her with disgust. Your calculations? The same worthless theories I rejected weeks ago? Sir, please look at the data, June interrupted, holding out the portable drive. The readings are clear. Millions of lives are at risk. I will not waste time on Cathari fantasies and human emotionalism, Voss said coldly. Return to your quarters. Immediately, consider yourselves on report for unauthorized research activities. But the colonies Hannah started will be perfectly safe. Voss cut her off. Your detection equipment is unauthorized and your theories are unproven. I will not create panic based on the delusions of a failed data analyst and a primitive engineer. Security. Guards escorted them from the command center. In the corridor outside, Hannah felt her hope crumbling again. He will not listen. All those people will die, and nobody will believe us. Then we save them ourselves, June said firmly. We have the data, we have the equipment, can contact the colonies directly. How? All external communications go through the command center. June smiled grimly. I am an engineer, remember? I know where all the backup communication arrays are located, and I know how to make them work without official approval. They raced back to Maintenance Bay 7, where June began pulling panels off the walls and rerouting power cables. I can give us maybe 20 minutes of direct communication before the automatic systems shut us down, he said. Can you compress your data into a warning message? Already done, Hannah replied, her 4 hands working frantically at her workstation. Emergency broadcast ready. But even if we warn them, how will they evacuate 2 million people in 16 hours? That is not our problem to solve, June said, connecting the final bypass cable. Our job is to give them the information they need. What they do with it is up to them. The improvised communication system crackled to life. Hannah transmitted their data to the Kepler colonies, while June monitored for security responses. Within minutes, replies started coming back. Confusion, questions, demands for verification. This is Administrator Chen at Kepler Prime, came a voice over the speakers. Who is sending this data? What authority do you have? This is Dr. Hannah of Nexus Prime Research Division, she replied, using her title for the first time in years. I am transmitting quantum anomaly readings that indicate immediate danger to your system. Please begin evacuation procedures. We cannot evacuate 2 million people based on unverified data from an unknown source, Administrator Chen replied. Please have your supervisor contact us through official channels. Our supervisor will not act, June said into the microphone. But the data is real. Check your own sensors for quantum fluctuations. Look at the stellar activity readings. The signs are all there. For several tense minutes there was silence. Then Administrator Chen's voice returned, strained and worried. We are detecting unusual readings, but our scientists say they are within normal parameters. Your scientists are wrong, Hannah said urgently. I've spent 3 years studying these patterns. Trust me. You have 15 hours before the anomaly hits. Please start moving your people. The communication system suddenly went dead as station security finally traced their signal. Alarms began blaring throughout the maintenance section. Within moments, security guards surrounded them. You are both under arrest, the lead guard announced. Unauthorized use of station equipment, violation of communication protocols, inciting panic in civilian populations. As they were led away in restraints, Hannah looked back at their detection array. The quantum readings continued to climb, showing the anomaly growing stronger as it approached the Kepler system. In 14 hours, they would know if their warning had been enough. Did we do the right thing? She asked June quietly. We did the only thing we could do, he replied. Now we wait and hope. 12 hours later, Hannah and June sat in the station's detention cell, watching news reports on the small wall screen. The quantum anomaly had struck the Kepler system exactly as Hannah predicted. Massive solar flares erupted from the star, sending deadly radiation across the entire system. But the colonies were empty. This is reporter Salix with Galactic News, the anchor said. Thanks to an early warning from Nexus Prime Station, Kepler colonies began emergency evacuation procedures yesterday evening. All 2.3 million residents were successfully relocated to safety stations before the stellar event occurred. Hannah felt tears running down her chitinous cheeks. They listened. They actually listened to us. Breaking news, the reporter continued. Administrator Chen of Kepler Prime has released a statement praising the unknown scientists who saved his people. Quote, without their warning, everyone in our system would have died. We owe our lives to whoever had the courage to contact us directly when official channels failed. The cell door opened and Director Voss walked in, his tentacles drooping with shame. Behind him came Admiral Corex, the station's highest-ranking officer. Nana had never seen the Admiral before. He was a tall, imposing figure from the warrior race of Drakmor. Dr. Hannah, Admiral Corex said formally. Engineer June, you are no longer under arrest. Director Voss could barely look at them. I made an error in judgment. The Galactic Council has been informed of your actions. They wish to speak with you both immediately. 2 hours later, Hannah stood before the full Galactic Science Council via holographic conference. Representatives from dozens of worlds looked at her with expressions she had never seen before: respect, admiration, curiosity. For the first time in her life, she was not being judged as just another cold Catheri. Dr. Hannah, said Counselor. Vrex, the ancient leader of the Altarian Science Division, Your quantum detection method has proven itself under the most dramatic circumstances possible. We understand you developed this technology without official support?
Yes, Counselor.
With help from Engineer June, we built our detection array using spare parts and unauthorized equipment. Remarkable, said another counselor. We have reviewed your original research proposals. Why were they rejected? Hannah glanced at Director Voss, who was standing to one side looking very uncomfortable. I was told my work was impractical theory, that Cathari do not have the imagination for real scientific discovery. Murmurs of displeasure rippled through the council chamber. Counselor Vrex's blue skin darkened with anger. Director Voss, you will explain this failure of leadership immediately. What followed was the most satisfying hour of Hannah's life. Director Voss stammered through explanations while the council members took turns expressing their outrage. Hiss. Prejudice against Cathari had nearly caused the deaths of millions of people. Within the hour, he was stripped of his position and reassigned to a minor research post on a remote planet. Dr. Hannah, Counselor Vrex, said finally, the Council hereby establishes a new department of quantum anomaly detection with you as its director. You will have unlimited resources, a staff of 20 scientists, and the authority to work directly with any colony or system in the galaxy. Hannah could hardly speak. Thank you, Counselor. I accept. Furthermore, Engineer June will be promoted to Chief Technical Officer of your department. His ability to transform theoretical science into practical applications has impressed us all. 6 months later, Hannah stood in her new laboratory, watching her team of scientists from a dozen different species work together on quantum detection projects. The Quantum Anomaly Detection Department had already prevented 4 more stellar disasters. Saving countless lives across the galaxy, her office walls were covered with messages of thanks from colonies and systems she had helped. Children from the Kepler colonies had sent her drawings showing her as a hero. Scientists from across the galaxy requested meetings to learn from her work. How does it feel to be famous? June asked, joining her at the observation window. Strange, Hannah admitted. For so long I thought I was worthless. Now people call me a genius, but I am still the same person. No, you are not, June said gently. Who are who you always were inside, but now the galaxy can see it too. You just needed someone to believe in you first. You saved my life that night on the observation deck, Hannah said. If you had not stopped me, you saved yourself, June replied. I just reminded you that your life was worth saving. Everything else, the research, the discoveries, the lives you have saved, that all came from you. Through the window, they could see stars scattered across the darkness of space. Once those stars had seemed cold and empty to Hannah, now she saw each one as a sun that might need protection, a system that might need warning, a chance to make a difference. I have been thinking, she said, about expanding our detection network. If we could place sensors throughout the galaxy, ... June smiled, already working on the engineering specifications. I figured you would want to help everyone, not just the systems we can monitor from here. Hannah reached out and took his hand, just as she had that first night when he offered her hope. Their friendship had changed both their lives and saved millions of others. Together, they were proof that the galaxy was better when different species worked as partners instead of staying separate. Thank you, she said quietly, for seeing me when I could not see myself. Thank you for letting me help, June replied. Now, shall we go save the galaxy?